Ladies and gentlemen, today I want to share something with you that has the potential to transform the way you see yourself, your life, and your future. In a world that constantly asks for more success, more strength, more wisdom, what does it really mean to be a smart woman? Is it about the degrees you hold, the job title you carry, or the social circles you move in? Or is it about something deeper, something within you, waiting to be unlocked? I believe it's about understanding the power of principles, because principles shape actions and actions shape your future. Today, I'm going to walk you through 7 principles that will empower you to become the kind of woman who doesn't just survive, but thrives in every aspect of her life. So let's dive in, shall we? Owning your story means taking full responsibility for your life, past, present, and future. It's not about hiding or running away from your experiences, but rather about fully accepting them as part of who you are. Every twist, turn, and setback you've faced has shaped you in ways that you may not fully recognize in the moment. But when you choose to own your story, you embrace those moments, not as failures, but as essential building blocks of your growth. Often we tend to look at our past with regret or shame. We beat ourselves up over things we wish we'd done differently or the paths we wish we hadn't taken. But here's the truth. Your past does not define your worth or limit your potential. It is simply a collection of experiences that, when understood properly, provide the wisdom and strength to move forward. Think of your life as a book. Every chapter matters, even the ones filled with struggle. The moments where you stumbled, fell, or faced challenges are not the parts of the story that should be hidden away. These are the pages that show your resilience, your ability to overcome, and the lessons you've learned. When you own your story, you stop running from the parts of yourself that may feel uncomfortable and instead turn them into a source of strength. Owning your story doesn't mean you have to love every part of it, but it means you accept that every experience has contributed to who you are today. Even the painful moments have a place in your narrative. They have provided you with wisdom that you might not have acquired otherwise. The mistakes you've made, the heartbreaks you've experienced, and the failures you've faced are not marks of weakness, but rather evidence of your ability to rise and move forward. Without these experiences, you wouldn't have the resilience, determination, or insight that you possess now. When you choose to own your story, you also free yourself from the burden of judgment from others. People are quick to make assumptions, to criticize, or to try to define you by what they see on the surface. But when you own your journey, you no longer allow others to control your narrative. You become the author of your own life, not bound by the perceptions or expectations of others. You stop apologizing for who you are and start fully embracing the person you've become. This doesn't mean you need to share every detail of your life with the world, but it does mean that you are honest with yourself about who you are and where you've been. It's about acknowledging the full spectrum of your experience, both the triumphs and the trials, and realizing that they are both essential to the masterpiece of your life. Owning your story is an act of empowerment. It's about reclaiming your power and choosing how you want to move forward. It's also about letting go of the need for perfection. Perfectionism can hold you back from truly owning your story because it encourages you to pretend that you've always had it together or that you've never struggled. But when you step into your true power, you embrace the idea that it's okay to be imperfect. You don't need to have all the answers, and you don't need to be flawless. What matters is that you show up authentically with all of your imperfections, because that is where your true strength lies. By owning your story, you also make peace with your mistakes and failures. Instead of hiding them or feeling embarrassed, you acknowledge them as part of your growth process. When you do this, you also free yourself from the constant pressure to be perfect, and you allow yourself the space to grow and evolve. The most powerful people aren't those who've never failed, but those who've learned to fail forward, using each setback as a lesson that propels them further along their journey. The act of owning your story is a transformative one. It shifts your perspective from one of limitation to one of possibility. When you embrace your experiences, you see that every challenge, every heartbreak, and every triumph has contributed to making you who you are today. You stop seeing yourself as a product of your circumstances and start seeing yourself as a creator of your future. You have the ability to shape your story moving forward. By accepting where you've been, you give yourself the freedom to choose where you're going next. Mastering your mindset is one of the most crucial steps in becoming the person you're meant to be. The way you think shapes the way you feel, and the way you feel determines the actions you take. If you have a mindset that is rooted in negativity or fear, your actions will follow suit, limiting your potential. However, when you cultivate a mindset of possibility, growth, and resilience, you unlock the power to transform your life. One of the first things to understand is that mindset is not something you're born with. It is something you can actively develop and change. It's a skill that requires consistent attention and practice. Many people fall into the trap of thinking that their mindset is fixed, that their thoughts and beliefs are beyond their control, but this simply isn't true. You have the power to shift your perspective at any time, and doing so can be the key to unlocking new opportunities and overcoming challenges. A growth mindset, which was popularized by psychologist Carol Dweck, is the belief that abilities and intelligence can be developed through dedication and hard work. People with a growth mindset see challenges as opportunities to learn and grow rather than as obstacles to be avoided. They understand that failure is not an endpoint, but a stepping stone on the path to success. When you adopt a growth mindset, you stop seeing yourself as limited by your current circumstances or abilities and start to view every setback as a chance to improve and get better. This is incredibly empowering because it means that your future is not defined by where you are today. You are not limited by your past mistakes, your current circumstances, or your perceived weaknesses. When you believe that growth is possible, you open yourself up to endless opportunities. You start to take risks, try new things, and challenge yourself in ways that you never thought possible. Every time you step out of your comfort zone, you are expanding the boundaries of what you can achieve. One of the most powerful aspects of mastering your mindset is the ability to control your inner dialogue. The voice inside your head can be your greatest ally or your worst enemy. If you constantly tell yourself that you're not good enough or that you'll never succeed, those thoughts will dictate your actions and your outcomes. However, when you intentionally reframe those negative thoughts into empowering, positive affirmations, you begin to take control of your mindset. It's not about ignoring challenges or pretending that everything is always perfect. It's about shifting your focus to what you can control and how you can respond. For example, instead of thinking, I'm terrible at this, try telling yourself, I'm learning and improving every day. Instead of saying, this is too hard, say, this is an opportunity for growth. By consciously redirecting your thoughts, you train your brain to see challenges as opportunities rather than threats. Over time, this shift in thinking can have a profound impact on your confidence, your resilience, and your overall success. Another important aspect of mastering your mindset is learning how to deal with failure. In life, failure is inevitable. It's a natural part of the process of growth. However, many people view failure as something to be feared or avoided. They allow it to define them, to convince them that they aren't capable of achieving their goals. But a person with a growth mindset sees failure as feedback. Instead of taking failure personally, they view it as a lesson. They ask themselves, what can I learn from this? How can I improve next time? This shift in perspective allows you to stay motivated even when things don't go as planned. Instead of giving up, you keep going. You adjust your strategy, learn from your mistakes, and try again. This perseverance is a hallmark of successful individuals and is something that anyone can develop through practice. Mastering your mindset also means staying focused on your goals and not getting distracted by negativity or external circumstances. There will always be obstacles, setbacks, and people who doubt you, but a strong mindset allows you to stay anchored to your vision. It gives you the clarity to filter out the noise and keep moving forward with determination and purpose. Lastly, mastering your mindset is about being patient with yourself. It takes time to rewire your brain, to shift your thinking, and to develop a growth mindset. There will be moments of doubt, moments when you want to give up, and moments when it feels easier to let your negative thoughts take over. But this is when it's most important to stay committed to your mindset practice. Like any skill, it improves with time and effort. taking action in the face of fear is one of the most powerful decisions you can make in your life. Fear is a natural response to the unknown, and it's something that every person experiences. Whether you're facing a new challenge, stepping into unfamiliar territory, or simply trying something different, fear can hold you back. But the key to achieving success and living the life you want lies in your ability to take action even when fear is present. Fear doesn't disappear just because you want it to, but you have the power to move forward despite it. Often, people make the mistake of waiting for fear to subside before they act. They tell themselves, I'll do it when I feel more confident, or once I'm sure everything is perfect, I'll take the next step. But waiting for fear to disappear or for the perfect moment to arrive is a trap. The truth is, fear rarely disappears entirely. If you wait for it to vanish before taking action, you could be waiting forever. The real secret to overcoming fear is not letting it control your actions. You don't need to wait for fear to go away. Instead, take action with the fear. The people who succeed are not those who never experience fear. They are the ones who keep moving forward even when it's present. In fact, the presence of fear is often a sign that you're pushing yourself to grow, to do something important. Fear isn't an indication that you should stop. It's an indication that you're on the right path. When you step into discomfort, when you step into the unknown, that's when you truly start to grow. One of the most important things to realize is that fear often magnifies situations in our minds. We imagine the worst case scenario blowing the consequences out of proportion. We think, what if I fail? What if people judge me? What if I make a fool of myself? But in reality, most of the time, our fears are exaggerated. The reality of the situation rarely matches the worst case scenario we've imagined. When you take action, you often discover that things aren't as bad as you feared. Taking action in the face of fear also helps you build resilience. Each time you face your fear and move forward, you strengthen your ability to handle future challenges. This builds a sense of self-trust. The more you act despite fear, the more you prove to yourself that you are capable of overcoming obstacles. Each step you take in the direction of your dreams, regardless of the fear you feel, reinforces your belief in your ability to handle what comes next. Over time, fear becomes less paralyzing because you've learned that it doesn't have to control you. Another key aspect of taking action in the face of fear is understanding that failure is part of the process. When you take a risk, whether it's starting a new project, speaking in public, or making a major life change, the possibility of failure exists. However, failure is not something to be feared. It's simply a part of the journey towards success. In fact, failure provides valuable lessons that will help you refine your approach and move closer to your goals. It's important to recognize that failure doesn't define you. It's not an indication that you're not good enough or that you shouldn't try again. Instead, failure is feedback that tells you what didn't work and gives you the information you need to adjust your approach. When you take action despite fear, you learn to embrace failure as a necessary part of growth rather than something to avoid. This mindset shift allows you to take more risks, try new things, and ultimately succeed. One practical way to take action despite fear is to break down big goals into smaller, manageable steps. Sometimes the idea of tackling something huge can be overwhelming, and fear makes it seem like an impossible task. But when you break it down into smaller pieces, it becomes much easier to take that first step. Once you take one small action, you'll often find that the fear becomes less intense, and the next step is easier to take. Each small action you take builds momentum, making it easier to keep moving forward, even when fear tries to hold you back. Another helpful strategy is to focus on the outcome rather than the fear itself. Instead of dwelling on what could go wrong, focus on what could go right. Visualize the positive results of your actions and let that vision drive you. Ask yourself, what would my life look like if I succeed? What am I capable of if I take this step? Let the potential for success fuel your determination to act. Embracing the power of no is a transformative practice that can radically change the way you approach your life, your time, and your energy. We live in a society that often celebrates saying yes to everything, yes to every opportunity, yes to every request, yes to every invitation. The problem with this is that when you say yes to everything, you dilute your focus and spread yourself too thin. You end up overcommitting and underperforming. You become a people pleaser, constantly trying to meet the needs and expectations of others, often at the expense of your own well-being and your own goals. The power of no comes from understanding that your time and energy are limited, and therefore every decision you make has an opportunity cost. Every time you say yes to something, you're saying no to something else, whether it's your own personal time, your health, your goals, or your relationships. Saying no isn't about being rude or rejecting people. It's about prioritizing what really matters to you and what aligns with your values, vision, and goals. When you embrace no, you take control of your life. You stop being reactive to the demands and expectations of others and start being intentional about where you place your energy. Saying no helps you guard your boundaries and protect your time. You get to decide what's worth your attention and what isn't. It allows you to preserve your focus for the things that truly align with your long-term vision. One of the biggest challenges with saying no is the fear of disappointing others. Many people worry that by saying no, they'll hurt someone's feelings or appear unhelpful, selfish, or rude. The fear of letting others down often compels us to overcommit, to do things that aren't in line with our goals, or to spend our time on activities that don't bring us joy or fulfillment. But here's the thing. You cannot be everything to everyone. You cannot pour from an empty cup. If you're constantly giving in to other people's demands, you will eventually have nothing left to give. Saying no allows you to say yes to the things that truly nourish you and move you closer to the person you want to become. It's also important to understand that saying no doesn't mean you're closing doors or missing out on opportunities. In fact, saying no can open up far more possibilities for you. When you say no to something that isn't aligned with your values or goals, you create space for opportunities that are a better fit. By focusing your energy on the things that matter most to you, you attract more of what you truly want into your life. There's a misconception that saying no means you're being selfish. But the truth is that saying no can actually be one of the most generous things you can do. When you protect your time and energy, you're better able to serve the people and causes that really matter to you. By saying no to distractions, you make room for the things that align with your core values and purpose. You also model healthy boundaries for others and encourage them to respect their own time and energy. Mastering the art of saying no also means being able to prioritize and make difficult decisions. It requires you to be clear on what's most important to you and to have the courage to act in alignment with that. Sometimes the most difficult part of saying no is recognizing that not every opportunity is worth pursuing, even if it seems like a good one. Learning to assess each situation and ask yourself whether it will bring you closer to your goals or detract from them is key to making empowered decisions. This principle extends to relationships as well. It's easy to fall into the trap of people-pleasing in relationships, whether with friends, family, or colleagues. But constantly saying yes to others without considering your own needs can lead to resentment, burnout, and even strained relationships. By saying no when necessary, you establish healthy boundaries and teach others to respect your time and space. This doesn't mean you stop being supportive or caring. It means you become more intentional about how you invest your energy and which relationships deserve your attention. The power of no is not just about rejecting requests. It's about making choices that empower you to live a life of intention and purpose. It's about making space for what matters and giving yourself permission to say no to the things that don't. By learning to say no, you reclaim your time, protect your energy, and create a life that's aligned with your values, goals, and vision for the future. Saying no is an act of self-respect and self-care, and it allows you to show up as your best self in every area of your life. Living with purpose is a transformative practice that gives clarity, direction, and meaning to your life. It's the guiding force that aligns your actions, decisions, and values with a deeper sense of fulfillment. When you live with purpose, you're not just going through the motions of life. You're actively shaping your experiences and making intentional choices that contribute to your overall vision. The pursuit of purpose is not about achieving one singular goal or reaching a particular destination. Rather, it's about the ongoing process of living in alignment with your deepest values and passions, day after day. One of the first steps to living with purpose is understanding what truly matters to you. This requires self-reflection and a deep connection with your inner self. It's easy to get caught up in external expectations, societal pressures, or the desire to meet the approval of others. But when you live according to the standards set by others, you risk losing sight of your own unique path. Discovering your true purpose requires you to listen to your inner voice and identify what makes you feel alive, what inspires you, and what brings you joy. It's about tuning out the noise of the world and focusing on what resonates with your soul. Living with purpose means making intentional decisions that align with your values. Your values are the core principles that guide your actions and decisions. They are your personal compass, helping you determine what's worth your time, energy, and attention. When you live with purpose, you're not swayed by fleeting trends or superficial desires. Instead, you make choices based on what reflects your deepest beliefs and the kind of person you aspire to be, whether it's prioritizing family, personal growth, creativity, or service to others. Living in alignment with your values brings a sense of fulfillment and peace that external achievements cannot provide. A life lived with purpose is one that is constantly evolving. Purpose is not a static destination, it's a dynamic process that evolves with you. As you grow and change, so too will your purpose. What gives you meaning at one point in your life may shift as you gain new experiences, wisdom, and insights. This is why it's important to regularly assess your life and ask yourself whether the path you're on still aligns with who you are becoming. You don't have to have it all figured out from the start. Purpose is something that deepens over time as you gain clarity, take risks, and make mistakes along the way. It's a lifelong journey that encourages growth, exploration, and continual learning. Living with purpose also requires the courage to take action. It's not enough to simply know what you want or what matters to you. You must be willing to act on it. Purpose is not something that happens by chance. It's something you create through your choices and actions. Every decision you make, no matter how small, contributes to the life you're building. When you live with purpose, you're constantly moving forward, taking steps, and making progress toward the life you envision. Even when faced with challenges or setbacks, the pursuit of purpose provides the motivation and resilience to keep going. It reminds you why you started and helps you push through the difficult moments. Another key element of living with purpose is staying focused on the long-term vision rather than getting caught up in short-term distractions. In today's fast-paced world, it's easy to get sidetracked by the demands of daily life, the pursuit of instant gratification, or the pressure to achieve superficial success. However, living with purpose requires you to think beyond the moment and keep your eyes on the bigger picture. It means making choices that may not bring immediate rewards, but are aligned with your long-term goals. It means being patient with yourself and trusting the process, knowing that the pursuit of purpose is a marathon, not a sprint. Living with purpose also involves serving others and making a positive impact in the world. While purpose is deeply personal, it often extends beyond the self and connects to something larger. Many people find their sense of purpose through helping others, contributing to their communities, or leaving a legacy that will outlast their lifetime. The joy and fulfillment that comes from serving others and making a difference can be profound. When you live with purpose, you understand that your actions have the power to inspire, uplift, and positively affect the lives of those around you. This connection to something greater than yourself provides meaning and depth to your life, creating a ripple effect of positive change. Ultimately, living with purpose is about making your life count. It's about not just existing, but thriving. It's about showing up each day with intention, clarity, and the determination to create a life that reflects who you truly are. Purpose doesn't make life easier, but it makes it richer and more meaningful. It helps you navigate the ups and downs, stay focused during challenges, and find fulfillment in both the journey and the destination. When you live with purpose, you unlock the potential for a life that is not just lived, but fully experienced and embraced.